Yes, so the former Emir of Kano State, for those of now who don't know who I they talk about, now they see for my screen, so Sanusi, a man of caliber and tikiba. My country people, not be smart, make una calm down. This very video, na long video, and be like, say, man, no rush, no skip on. Make sure, say, you watch until the end. As far as say, you don't be in Nigeria. Make sure, say, you watch this video till the ending. The year when it be like say man, they dethrone this man from that position. Now me happy pass. Now know the reason why I happy pass. Because this man, as he passed that level, he not being supposed to that level. This man when they see for my screen, so he's full of wisdom, understanding, intelligent, strong, healthy, just name man. The man get all the qualification when be like say man, every human being need from God. You understand? I will say this man will become Nigeria president. In fact, just give Nigeria 2 years, we go past Europe. You understand? Well, guys, make it not be like say Rome picking to talk or I to waste to not. And this very video, so I beg, not just watch them alone. Try share them to all your social media platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Share them to all your social media platforms. You understand? Because information is power. Well, I go see you now for the next update coming out soon. Respect, one love, guys.
Emir said, Emirs don't shed tears. He was lying. Or at least I'm the living proof. Yesterday I was at this event. By the way, the Lagos show is much longer. It was more complete, and I think it's evidence that whenever you take something to Abuja, there must be leakages. Because there are a few people here who were with me in Abuja yesterday, and this is a completely different show. So, yesterday after my speech, which was filled with tears and sniffing and whatever, despite all the strong words, I called a friend and said, look, I was rather embarrassed by the way I reacted. And she said, this is something that happens to people when they are dead. And I can imagine what it feels like to sit down and watch your life being told through the eyes of other people. And as I said yesterday, I refuse to read the script. I know some people like reading script. People were saying, make sure you read the script. There's so many things in my life that could be bombshells. And my family, everybody was afraid that knowing Edgar, he may come with something, And but I said, look, I want to be surprised. I want to see. And if I'd read the script, I would be tempted to look in and say, well, this happened exactly this way, not that way. But I think we all agree that this was a brilliant work of art. And it's up that we're here in Lagos. And as the place says, when I left Kano, my first choice, my destination was going to be Lagos. Of course, I was in transit somewhere, some villages in Nasarawa before the court released me. But Lagos has always been my home. I first came here on a full-time basis. Well, as a child, I was here before 1966. But coming here on a full-time basis was January 73 when I came to King's College. Spent most of my working life here. 90% of my friends are here. And this is where I have always felt most at home. So I thank Lagos and I thank everyone here. Now, naturally, I imagine, given that this is a play about me and about my grandfather, there would need to be some discussion on how we view these events in our lives. And when you're right in the middle of it, it helps sometimes to explain the processes that go through your mind. I have avoided, and I will continue to avoid, making specific comments about what happened, not because I don't want to say anything, but because talking about it gives a certain importance to certain unimportant individuals. The reality is, as I said yesterday, if you go back to Greek philosophy and to the Stoics, one thing that's constant about tragedy is that what we call the good life is fragile. What we need for human flourishing is temporary and transient. The woman you love will be the source of your heartbreak. The child that you love can die and be taken away from you. The wealth that you have, you can lose overnight. The position that you hold can be taken away from you. Anyone who does not understand that these things are temporary and transient is doomed to grief, to anxiety, and to fear. So it's always best to hold on to those things that are permanent. Your faith in God, your principles, your integrity, your values. And the tragedy is sometimes you have to make a choice. It's not what we want to make, but it happens, where you have to choose between your principles and your position, between your values and your material well-being. Now, we all have to take decisions for ourselves. There are people who would say, you know, I don't want to lose my job, therefore I will just keep quiet. And there are people like me who will say, I will be myself. If I keep the job, that's fine. If it's taken, that's fine. And I've never considered myself as someone from whom anything is taken. On the contrary, I say if I feel nothing, if I feel anything other than gratitude to God, then I'm an ingrate. I see my life not as, people say, oh, he was suspended from central bank, he was dethroned as Emir, but I see my life as a series of transitions, as a series of gifts. So God gifted me Chief Risk Officer in UBA. After that, he gifted me Chief Risk Officer in First Bank. After that, he gifted me CEO of First Bank. Then gifted me Governor of Central Bank. Gifted me Emir of Kano. Gifted me Khalifa of Tijaniya. I don't see him as taking anything away from me. And you know, these things, what is important is throughout these things to hold on to those constants that you hold dear and to be yourself. I look around, I can see Carolina, who was my staff in UBA. We've got people at Edo Peter side who was my prefect in King's College. The most cruel prefect, by the way. My brothers, Ike, Herbert, Kola, Karim, And you know what I take pride in all the time is all my friends would say that I am the person they knew 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. This country, and we're in difficult times, this country will not move forward until Nigerians take ownership of their country. Politicians get into office and they think they own us. They think they have earned the right to tell you when to speak and when not to speak. They have earned the right to control your views, and they cannot be criticized. The truth is, they don't have that right. People have said to me, your problem is you've criticized the government publicly. Many of them don't know that before I go with the public criticism, I would have spent months, maybe years, speaking in private. So when people talk about me and the whole missing money thing in the central bank, I tell them I never made public the question of my suspicions of missing money. I wrote a confidential letter to the president as governor of Central Bank in August. I expressed my concerns, and nothing happened. The letter leaked after 5 months. It was not me who announced it, but once it was out, I had to stand by my letter and own my position. With the current administration, I spent literally the whole of 2015 and 2016 speaking to everybody who should be spoken to and telling them that the economic policies they were pursuing were going to destroy the Nigerian economy. It was only when that failed that I spoke publicly. And we had to speak. Now the question which everybody's asking is, should Emir speak? And the answer is yes. And it depends on what Emir you are and what you're speaking on. I mean, Socrates said, wise people speak because they have something to say. Stupid people speak because they have to say something. But if you have something to say, you have to say it. And I never agreed that anyone could tell me, given my background, that I was not qualified to speak on the economy. I was the chief risk officer of a bank. I was MD of a bank. I was governor of the central bank. In 4 of the 5 years that I was governor, I was best central bank governor in Africa. In 1 of the years, I was best central bank governor in the world. And I say, if we all go into public service and we have a record, we should be proud to point to that record. And I'm ready. Anybody can look at what was the rate of inflation under me, what was the exchange rate, what did I do with the payment systems, what did I do with the banks. And if we spent all those years putting in our best to build this country, we have a right to speak when we see other people not doing the same thing. If every president, every governor, every minister, every commissioner took his job seriously, this country would not be where it was. But if people are willing to be ministers and commissioners and governors and presidents for 8 years and not tell us how they have improved our lives, we have a problem. And we have to tell them that that is not why they were put in office. So we do have challenges. My own position was no position would stop me from expressing my views. Emir, non-Emir, Khalifa, non-Khalifa, governor, no governor, it does not matter. We have to continue speaking up for this country, and we have to continue asking politicians to do the right thing. And for the politicians, 7 years ago, people thought they had 8 years. Then they had 4 years. Now we're talking about how many months? Maybe some of them will soon realize that even the power they had and the position they had was temporary. In a few years, in a few months, in 1 year, many of those people will be out on the streets here. They will not. They won't have the office. They won't have the power. And the only thing that is left is the record. What did you do when you were there? And if all you can point to is that you harass people and oppress people, and well, that's fine if that's what you want for yourself. But for most of us, we want something more important and more fundamental. So I'd like to thank Duke of Shomolu, and I don't want to embarrass my friends, but you see Herbert and Ike there? In every time I have difficulty, I pick up the phone and call them, and they're there. And knowing that you have friends like this in Lagos keeps us going. When things were getting really, really bad, around the time that Sabi was probably crying, I called Herbert and said, Herbert, I think the end is coming. This was going to happen. And he said, Your Highness, don't worry. You know, by the time announcement was made that I had been removed for insubordination, you know, that is the word, insubordination. And you will think that somebody who says you're subordinate to him is somebody who is superior to you. You know, and like I said in Abuja, I have my record of service. My father has his record of service. My grandfather has a record of service. We cannot be intimidated by somebody because you're president or you're a governor, and we cannot tell you that you're wrong. We've chosen different paths. And I said yesterday, and I'll say it again, if I'd gone into politics, at least given the people that have succeeded in becoming president in Nigeria, I could have been president. Or I could be governor. So that I choose not to go into politics does not make me a subordinate human being. And this is what we all have to learn as Nigerians. We take too much rubbish. And we're all too afraid, too much in our comfort zones. And by the time these guys finish with us, our children will not have a nation. And this is the real challenge that we face. How do we stand up? How do we retrieve our nation? How do we go back to that vision that we had? How do we give our children the opportunities that we have had? And even better. And this is the question that each of us must take with us. And the only way to do it is, if you're not in politics, you must hold those in politics to account. It's not a comfortable situation to be in, but believe me, when people are incompetent and they don't like you, you wear their dislike as a badge of honor. You can't be comfortable. You can't be normal in a dysfunctional environment. So we must get outside our comfort zone, and that is the only way we'll change this country. And for the young people, do not fear. This is your country, this is your future. Take hold of it, work for it, build it. Don't let anyone tell you to run away because you have a degree. Go to England, go to America, go to France. This is your country, you're coming back here. So let's work to build one for you, and you help us build this country for you.
Nigeria is a scam. Hey, nobody believe God though. Everybody not the same.